And welcome back to the RGen channel for the 2020 to 2021 pre-season review, 2020 to 2021 season preview, sorry. I'm Lukas Ross, and tonight I'm joined by Alex Bullimore, Ben Summer, Conor and Dan Lambert. Lads, thank you for joining me. I think we shall make a start. Just maybe press on to the next slide. Several slides. We will be previewing the 2020 to 21 season for Queen's Park Rangers. Our table predictions from first all the way down to 24th, with each and every side in between. Who we think will be the top scorer, Qpr surprise package of the season, the championship surprise package, so that's team, not individual. Teams, the team that everyone was predicting to do really, really well, but then they go and let everyone down. The most important QPR player of the season, and the games to look out for. Anyways, I think we shall make a start. So up first, we have got Alex. Alex, take it away. No pressure, mate.
Cheers. I've gone with Watford at the top of the table. They do have a very strong side. Being recently relegated, still got a lot of very good players that you could describe as Premier League quality. Delafeu, Pereira. Then you've got players who've played in the Championship before and had quite, gone on for bigger moves, like Gray and Hughes. And then they've got the experience of Murray and Deeney as well. I just think they've got a very strong, well-rounded team. And really, if they're not at least getting promoted or in the run-in for promotion, they've probably had quite a bad season. Second place, Norwich, very similar reasons. Coming back down from the Premier League, they've kind of stuck with the players that they've had there before. Signed Hugo as well, who we know at times can actually be quite a good striker and put the ball in the back of the net. But then at the other times he's quite inconsistent. But they still have good players, Pukki, Wendia, and they've kept the same manager as well, which I think is complete contrast to Watford. But they've got a plan there. They've got a way they like to play, and they're going to carry on playing that way. So I imagine they're going to be probably up there as well. A bit of a yo-yo club, so they might be up and down. Brentford, Cardiff, Forest, Swansea. Apart from Fulham, that is the playoff teams from last year. I can't really see anyone else apart from Forest breaking in there, unless there really is a complete surprise. I think some people suggested Derby in the media, but that doesn't seem. I don't quite understand why. They don't seem to have too much firepower. I hope that Brentford stay in the league again for another season. I'd hope they don't get promoted, but they probably are the strongest team in the playoffs. Forest obviously sign a load of players, then somehow manage, even though they've got all these amazing players, apparently always managed to mess it up as they did last season. More importantly, for us, I think 10th would be a fantastic finish, and I would say that is a very optimistic prediction. Anywhere mid-table, 10th to 14th would be a really good finish for us. Anything below that wouldn't be bad, but I think in some areas for our fans, that might be regressing slightly or not really improving in what we did this year, even though this year is going to be a very difficult year for us with a very threadbare squad. And then down at the bottom, I really hope Wickham stay up, simply because of the connections of Ainsworth. He's a fantastic guy, and I hope someday that he will take over at QPR. And this is a massive season for them. I don't really know much about Coventry. I think, I don't know. I hope they stay up. The thing is, at the bottom, it's so unpredictable, as is the whole league. There's so many teams there that could be involved in relegation, all the way from Reading, it's in 16th, down to Coventry at the bottom. So I expect it all to be very tight. Sheffield Wednesday, unfortunately for them, with that points deduction, I see little chance of them getting out of the bottom three. It's very hard to overturn such a big difference in points at such an early point. So I can't see them staying in the league. And Rotherham are just a very not poor side, but they don't seem to be able to stick it when they come into championship, and always seem to get relegated. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about the league. But as I said, it's so unpredictable. I really don't expect to be right about much of it.
Let's move on.
Yeah. So
Alex, what was your judgment for this?
Well, simply this season, last season, Watkins was, apart from Mitrovic, the standout striker, scoring plenty of goals. And if he was to stay in the Championship, he probably would do it again. Although today looks like he's going to go to Villa for a ridiculous amount of money for someone who's not been in the Championship. Not been in the Premiership. But even still, he looks like he's going to leave. Pukki, he's done it before. I'm sure with the talent that Norwich has got, he's going to get plenty of chances. And this is probably more his level. So I expect him to be up there. But yeah, again, it's very hard to predict, especially at this point, not really knowing who's who for some of the new signings, who's going to be the top scorer. Okay, so with the surprise package for QPR, I went with Tom Carroll purely because if you think back to last season, Don Ball comes into the squad. Not many people know who he is. A lot of people writing him off early doors, as seems to be the trend with a lot of our fans. Turns out to be one of our best players. I know we've seen Carroll once before down at Loftus Road, but that was under Harry Redknapp, who, let's be honest, wasn't really doing much managing. We didn't really. He all he wanted to do was sign tons and tons of players and get jobs for his mates. Whereas Warburton has taken on a lot of young players and improved them. And I hope that with Carroll, he can basically just improve him. And, on a 1-year deal, it might turn out to be a fantastic signing for us on a free, in our wage budget. And, it seems like a very risk-free transfer, especially considering that we have such a threadbare squad. We do need more players like Carroll just to come in on a free and cheap deal. So Swansea, maybe not as surprising as perhaps other teams you'd say, but I just think they ended last season so well, and they have added to their squad again Jamal Lowe, a very talented player, and I just think that they play nice football. They might not necessarily be everyone's first choice to go up, but I reckon they'll be up there challenging, and they might do just a bit better than other people are expecting of them. And most underwhelming, Bournemouth, for me, have done something quite risky, getting rid of Eddie Howe and then getting in a relatively unknown manager. They're losing quite a few players. Wilson's gone to Newcastle, and it looks like Josh King's going to go as well, perhaps to Villa. Fraser's gone as well. So they have got quite an older squad, I'd say, as well. So I'm not too sure about Bournemouth. I just think that they're going to slightly fall away without Howe as manager. And vital QPR player, I think this is kind of an obvious one. He's got the number 10 shirt. He's taken over from Eze, possibly having to fill the hole of Eze and Bright if Bright leaves to go to Palace. So, yeah, big season for Chair, as we all expected. And he's definitely got the talent to do it. It just, whether he can step up and consistently do it. And, of course, our matches to look out for. Everyone looks forward to cup games. and we've got 2 cup finals apparently against Watford. So that is something, of course, everyone to look forward to. And then Wickham as well. As I said, with the Ainsworth connection, it just seems it would be. Don't quite know when we've got them away, but I think it's quite early on, isn't it? So probably not going to be in the ground for it, but it'd be nice to play Ainsworth's team, and yeah, that's what I think for that.
Brief pause. We have Conor's predictions. Conor, take me through your predictions and your judgment for them, please.
Watford, very strong team. Haven't lost anyone. Appointed a manager who managed in the Champions League, Vladimir Ovic, good manager, and they're adding to their squad. They've just signed a goalkeeper today, so I can only see one destination, that's back to the Premier League. With Norwich, comfortable season again. I know they lost Jamal Lewis today, but they're adding to their squad, making sure it comes back stronger. So sort of similar to what Burnley did, went down, came back up, and now they're consistent. Again, to keep faith in that Daniel Farker is, well, testament to what they believe in him and what he brings to the club. It's like an automatic for them. Bournemouth, I think, they might have lost Callum Wilson, and Joshua King might be on his way out, but they've got some really good young players coming through, like Dan Juma, who scored an absolute wonder goal against West Ham on the weekend. And again, they've appointed, their manager was Eddie Howe's number 2 for a long, long time. So he knows the club very well. It is a risk, but then I think it's a risk that I think will pay off because he knows the club very well and knows the players there. And I think for the playoff places, Forest, Brentford, Bristol City and Cardiff. Cardiff, again, they haven't lost anyone. They've added a few players to their squad. Very strong season for them, I think. I think they were quite lucky to finish in the playoffs, but I think they will finish there again. Forest, well, they have to go up this season, Forest. I think FFP, I know it's been relaxed, but when it comes back into play, I think they will be under judgment, definitely, with the players that they've got. I know Freeman's gone there, and he'll probably score against us on the weekend. But that's another story. And I think their manager is very good. Very unlucky to miss out on the playoffs, but that's what pressure can do. Brentford, again, very good team. I don't like to say it, but the way they recruit. So even though they will lose Watkins to Villa, maybe Ben Rama could be going to Arsenal, and maybe even to Villa himself, they can easily replace those players. They do that every season, so I can only see that happening again. But they've still got, their goalkeeper, their good back four, good midfielders. And in Bristol City, they've appointed their number 2 to Gary Johnson, Dean something, I forgot his name. Again, he knows the club very well, and he's got a fabulous player in Naki Wells there, and they've also signed Chris Brunt, among others, who can add experience to that squad. And I think this year is their time to push up and get that playoff place. Then the bottom 3, Rotherham, Wickham, Barnsley. Rotherham, I think Rotherham and Wickham both have very low budgets. Rotherham, a yo-yo team in this division. They've kept the same manager. I don't think it's going to be a good story for them. Wickham, I love Gareth Ainsworth. He will be our next manager. I'm sure of that. But I think it's going to take a miracle to get them out. But I put them above Rotherham just purely on the basis that I think their tactics and the way they play are more disciplined, and their press is much more intense than Rotherham's, and I think they'll pick up more points and be more of a harder team to beat. And Barnsley, again, they haven't signed anyone. They're going to lose their best player to Stoke in Alec Mowat. So I can't see them staying up. I love their manager. I love the way they play. One of the youngest teams in the division in the EFL. A lot of trust there, but I think this season, I don't think they will manage to stay up, unfortunately. Yeah, top scorer, Ollie Watkins and Naki Wells. Ollie Watkins is obviously going to go to Villa, but the reason why I picked Naki Wells is because I think in the football that Bristol City play, more expansive football, similar to what we play at QPR. So I reckon he'll score more goals. He scored 16 goals or 17 goals last season. So I think he'll push on this season. Now he's had that half a season with Bristol City and really crack on, and I think he could fire them to the playoff places, definitely. Yeah, my surprise package is Coventry. The reason why I think Coventry are one of those teams who their management and their recruitment and the way they play, very good team. And sort of similar to Charlton, I don't want it to end up like Charlton in terms of they were at the top of the table for quite a bit of time. And then they sort of slowly dropped from what we saw. But I think they'll be very hard to beat. And I know we've got them on our second game, which is next week. And I think we'll be lucky to get a point there. It's going to be a very difficult team to beat. And I think I've been quite unfair to them putting them in 18th. I think they'll finish higher than that. And I also just want to touch on, I know, because Lucas, you asked me why I didn't put in for the QPR who's going to be sort of the most the surprise package and the most important player. The reason why I haven't put anything for that is because every player on that pitch should be important. Every player on that pitch shouldn't surprise me because the manager obviously trusts them to go out there and play brilliant football and get results for this club. I don't believe in anyone saying he's important to us. Eze was important to us. He's gone now. We've got to move on. You know, there's no one who's bigger than the club. They play for this club because they're a good player. Otherwise, we wouldn't bring them in, especially now we've got the recruitment system we have, which is testament to Chris Ramsey and John Eustace and Neil Bamford and Mark and Les and all the others who's involved in it. So that's the reason why I don't believe in doing that. And I missed out on where we'll finish. The reason why I put a 16th, which is quite unfair to us, but the reason why it's very difficult to see us finish higher when I don't feel we conceded more than 70 goals last season. I don't think we've improved on that. I think Barbe is still error prone. Dickey, I know everyone's raving about him, but he's unproven at this level. He's played in League One. He hasn't played Championship level yet. Ryan is not a good left back, and Ozzy is still young. So I think that back four, and I think all the goalkeepers we have, even though Senny, everyone says Dieng should play, he should play. I don't think he's ready for this level yet. I don't think he should be. He's had one good game against Wimbledon, and he wasn't really tested that much. So I think there's a lot of recruitment still needed. So that's why I've put us there, which I don't want to, but I that's the way I see it. And I think our attack is poor. I think Len's a good striker, but there's no one to support him. So that's the reason why I've put us there, unfortunately. But hopefully they prove me wrong, as QPR normally tend to do. Yeah, underwhelming team. Rotherham, quite expected. I just can't see them getting more than 35 points. You know, there's a lot of games in a tight period. Their squad's quite thin, similar to ours, but they have very poor quality. It's a shame, really, because I think they're a good club and, you know, they should be staying at this level, but they can't maintain that. If you can't maintain that, you don't deserve to be in this division. It's all about consistency. So that's why I think they'll play poor, which is expected, of course, but I can't see them getting anywhere near out of those relegation spots. Yeah, Watford, it's a game that we haven't played for quite a bit of time. Quite excited for that. Not the fact of what Deeney said. I couldn't care less what Deeney said. You know, he's playing the same division as us now. So if he thinks he's Premier League quality, well, he's not, because he's playing the Championship against what he thinks is little old QPR. But that's his opinion. I'm not particularly interested in what he has to say. But it's a London derby. Haven't played them quite a bit of time. Quite excited for it. It's a lovely away day. I've heard plenty of stories from my dad about it. So hopefully, I doubt, obviously, away fans won't be allowed, but I can't wait till we play them and get the 3 points. Well, that's what I hope for anyway. But knowing us, anything's possible with us. So I won't put my money on it if you're doing a bet.
So I'm next now. I think the table will look like this. Sadly, I do think Brentford will win the league. They just have too much firepower in their team, and even if they lose Watkins and Ben Rama, sadly, I think they'll bulldoze the league. Obviously, like every QPR fan on the face of the earth, I'd love to see them crash and burn, but sadly, I don't think that'll happen again. Same with Watford. They've kept a large core of their squad. That not many of them have gone out, and yeah, I think they'll get automatics playoffs. So I think it's gonna be Norwich. Top two have too much firepower. Swansea, Cardiff, Forest. Swansea and Cardiff were there last season. Forest, I think, will sneak in there despite the capitulation they had at the end of the season. And jumping all the way down the table to relegation, I've gone for 3 dark horses, and I've also put Wycombe quite high up. You'll see why in a moment. Reading to go down because their manager has a really poor track record, and someone else did championship predictions. The video came out this morning and said that Veljko Paunovic is probably the least inspiring managerial appointment in the entirety of the championship. Sheffield Wednesday, again, having a 12-point deduction is extremely hard to play, and I think that will take its toll on them. And Huddersfield, losing Carl Grant means losing their place in the championship. I know I'm being harsh, but I mean, what can I do? I can't really do anything about that. Anyway, we move. I'm going for 2 dark horses for top scorer. If Watford can keep Ismail Assar, I think he'll storm this league without a shadow of a doubt. And then Dominic Solanke, I think he could be vitally important for us, especially if he scores the goals like he should have done in the Premier League. But now they're in the Championship, by the looks of things, they're keeping hold of him as their star striker. Yeah, he's going to have a massively important season. I reckon it's going to be Wycombe. I've put him in 18th, and I reckon they have a brilliant team spirit. I reckon that'll keep them going. And I think that good team momentum can take you far. And yeah, I do think that will happen. Qpr player I've gone with George Thomas. I saw him against Wimbledon, so I bought a stream of that extremely dodgy match, which Sam said was amazingly terrible. I do think that underwhelming teams this season will be Huddersfield and Reading. Again, I think Reading have one of the most lackluster coaches in the Championship in Veljko Paunovic, however you say his name. And the squad is dull and uninspiring. I think they underachieved last season, given the exorbitant budget they had under Mark Bowen. Huddersfield, similar story. As I say, no Carl Grant, no Party. And he basically carried them last season. And if he's going to go to West Brom for a price which is going to be upwards of £15 million, which I can understand given the amount of goals he scored, but Huddersfield are doomed for next season. So I do think that Reading, Sheffield Wednesday and Huddersfield will depart the Championship. Most vitally important QPR player, Bright say Samuel, if he doesn't leave, and if he does leave, then obviously it'll be Elias Chair, given that he's got number 10, and he's got a massive void to fill in Birieze, who was pretty much Championship player of the season last year. He was insane for us, so I do think he's got quite a big void to fill in that position. And again, QPR matches to look out for Wycombe away on the 19th of December, Luton away 2 weeks later, Watford away on the 30th of January, and pretty much any half-decent away day, and letters. And apparently it's at the discretion of the home club, so hopefully you'll get allocations for all of those fixtures. And yeah, we move. So anyways, Ben, what is your judgment on these predictions?
Right, here we go. So, yeah, getting promoted, winning the league, I've got Norwich, and that is a bit of an if they retain players, but I think they'll look to keep some of them. They're set to keep some of them even. And to some extent, they are building for the next season. I think Hugel's a bit of a weird signing for them, to be honest, because he's not a long-term one. I think he's not really going to be able to do it in the Premier League if they do go back up. But I think he has proven that he excels at this level when the right chances are put in front of him. And I think Norwich are the sort of team that could do that. So I could see him bagging quite a few goals, and I think they might be set to go up, yeah. Then Brentford in second, yeah, pains me to say it, but yeah, the recruitment has been typically very, very shrewd. And it looks like Watkins is set to go for a lot of money. That's more money coming in. And they've already signed Charlie Good, Ivan Toney. I think they've got a really, really good chance under this manager especially. Then just a couple others going down the table to pick out. Derby I've put quite high up. I think there's definitely the expectation that they, from the club that they're going to go up. I think it's really easy to joke about Rooney. We all love to joke about him, but he has brought a lot of composure to that side, except obviously when he's assisting Eze and Chair. But I think he's going to kind of anchor that side, and I think they could do quite well. And then Forest in sixth. I don't quite think they'll make the push for automatic promotion they might be hoping for. They've had some decent signings. Obviously, Luke Freeman's a very good one, but the cup game that they've just had against Barnsley shows what life without Matty Cash looks like. I think that could be a bit of a problem for them. And then, yeah, I put us in 10th. I think that's quite an optimistic one, like Alex's, but I'm quietly a bit confident about it. I think we should look to push on, even without Eze. I think we should look to climb up the table. And although, yes, we need a couple of signings, it's more about how Warburton works with the signings that he makes. I think he's proven with players like Dominic Ball that actually you might not have that wow factor when they come in, but he knows the sort of player that he can work with, which I think Carroll and people like that will be very useful for us. But with the leaky defence, I don't see how we push higher at this point in time. More than the fact that the defence is leaky, it just seems like the management isn't really making it a priority to fix. Kind of just saying, as long as we're scoring goals, we don't need to worry about it. I don't know if that gets us higher than 10th, but I think we could begin to go beyond stabilising and actually finishing next season with some more saleable assets like we have this year. Sort of Batash, Osman Kakai and Lyndon Dykes. And then if Osei Samuel signs a new contract, he'll be worth, I think, quite a lot next season. So actually we are setting ourselves up to go forward. It's not just this sort of being boring and stable. We're building to push on year. It's very well documented at this point. And I've got faith that we'll keep doing that. And then kind of moving towards the bottom of the table. I mean, Stoke City I'll talk about in a moment. Wickham, I think they've got some really good things going for them. Obviously, Ainsworth, very good manager. They've got this defensive style that I think will actually get them quite a few points next season. And they've got some good attacking options. I really, really like Fred Onyedinma. And then actually Joe Jacobson as a defender, his set pieces are fantastic. I just don't think it's enough to get them over the line. And then Rotherham I think, won't have enough. And Sheffield Wednesday, more than anything, the morale will go with the points deduction. I don't see them really climbing back up the table. And then, on to the top scorer prediction, I think. Oh, there we go. My head says Ivan Toney. I've not actually watched much of him in League One this year, but I've got a friend who supports Peterborough, says he's very, very good. And I think in that Brentford setup, he could do very well. My heart says Jordan Hugill. I'd like to see him score some goals. I've got nothing against Norwich, but I don't know if he'll get quite as many, to be honest. And then I think, as was mentioned earlier, my heart also says Nahki Wells, but I don't know if he'll quite do it in that side. I don't think he's really settled in. Not sure if he's going to be honest. And then, surprise package as a team, I'd actually say Barnsley, and I've not got them set to finish, incredibly high, but obviously mid-table will be very, very good for them. And the reason for that is I think they've got a lot of promise in a young squad with sort of Chaplin and players like that. And I think Struber's done well to get them the finish they did this season. I think with a year of Championship football under their belts, they could push on beyond that, although obviously a couple of signings would be needed for that. And then my surprise package as a QPR player, I'd say George Thomas, as someone mentioned earlier. He looked sharp against Wimbledon, and I think he's exactly the sort of player that Warburton would work well with and would bring the most out of. He had a very good youth career. He's had a few good performances in the lower leagues, and he's just not quite made it at Leicester. Captain of the under-23s, I think, but never quite made that final step. And I think he's the sort of player that could do that under Warburton. So I would not be surprised. Underwhelming team, I'd say Stoke. Ivan there just avoiding the drop. I think they were consistently inconsistent last season. I think their signings have been very uninspiring. Sort of John Obi Mikel isn't a progressive signing, and that kind of thing. I really wouldn't be surprised if they kind of start to plummet. And I think that's even if they don't finish 21st, I think it would be underwhelming for them not to get a finish high up the table because of the expectations of the club. I don't think they're going to finish high up the table at all. Most important vital QPR player, I'd say the mystery second striker that we haven't signed yet and that we need to sign. That being because Lyndon Dykes will be hugely important to create chances, but we're already creating chances, even if it means forcing the fullbacks very far forward. We've seen it against Plymouth, and we need someone to mop up those chances. A Nahki Wells type, if you like, and I think we've got to sign one before we can talk about really, making an impact next season. I think that second striker will be our most important player. And then matches to look out for. So Norwich at home, which is on the 24th of April, so right near the end of the season. If we're aiming for playoffs, if we're aiming to avoid the drop, and if it's still in contention by then, Hugill could be the stuff of our nightmares, and I'm not looking forward to it, but we should look out for it at very least. And then Swansea at home, the last two seasons, we've made a really exciting habit of doing terribly for 5 or 6 matches and then absolutely thrashing Swansea at home. Long may that continue. So we'll watch out for that one on Boxing Day. And that's all of my predictions.
Next, we have got
Is the table loaded? All right. So yeah, I've tipped Norwich to win the league this year. I think they were almost ready to come down last season. I don't think when they went up they were actually ready in terms of the structure of their plan to come up. So I think they'll win it. I think they brought in 11 plus signings so far, one of which obviously is Hugo. So I think in terms of depth and quality, I think they have it, and especially if they keep the likes of Max Aarons, Pukki, Buendia, I think they'll storm the league this year. Forest is I put them second. I don't think many people would think they'd finish there. I think they brought in the likes of Luke Freeman and Lyle Taylor, both on loan and a free. I think they have great quality to their side, alongside Joe Lolly and Lewis Grabban. So I think they've got a very frightening attack. At the back, they've got the likes of Joe Worrell, who's after been wanted by Premier League clubs. So I think if he stays, then they'll be quite fairly solid at the back. But obviously they've lost Matty Cash, so whether or not they can fill that void, that will be something we have to find out and wait and see. I put Derby fourth. I think they last season they probably underachieved. They've got a lot of young players like Louis Sibley, Max Bird. I think they brought Matt Clark back on loan, who was their player of the year last season. I think he'll continue to impress. They brought in the likes of David Marshall, an experienced keeper. So I think they could be a surprise package this year. I think Brentford, unfortunately, I think they'll get playoffs. I can't see them doing any better. I think losing the likes of Watkins and Ben Rama, I don't think they can surpass what they did last year. But I think bringing in Tony and Good are a very good signing. So I think equally they'll do as well as last season. QPR, I've put us 14th. I think right in and around where we finished last season. Obviously, losing Eze and potentially Bright, that's a lot of our goals which we scored last season. So it'd be interesting to see how we can score them this year. But I think our recruitment so far has been promising. The likes of Amos on a permanent, Dickey, Tom Carroll on a free. I think they're the type of players that fit the Mark Warburton style very well. I reckon Wickham will stay up. I think they've been written off by a lot of people, really. I think I watched their performance on Sunday in the Cup, and I thought they pressed very well. They are very hard-working. They might not have the quality, but they didn't. Not many people thought they had the League One quality, but they managed to surprise a lot of people. So I think they'll scrape survival. Sheffield Wednesday, I can't see them staying up, even with a minus 12 points deduction. I think they lost the likes of Stephen Fletcher, who was their top goal scorer last year. So it'd be interesting to see how they replace his goals. And they lost Forestieri as well, I think. Coventry, I don't know all too much about, so it'd be interesting to see if they prove me wrong. But I can't see, unless they bring in a lot of championship quality, that they'll survive. And Rotherham have also always been that yo-yo kind of team between the Championship and League One. And I can't see them really doing much this season. So for top scorer, I've gone for Lewis Grabban, who probably isn't the most obvious picks. It probably coincides with where I put Forest as second. I think with the likes of Joe Lolly, Lyle Taylor for competition or even to play alongside, and Luke Freeman providing the creativity, I think they could score a lot of goals this year. And I think Lewis Grabban is a very good championship striker. Surprise team, I've gone Wickham purely on the basis that a lot of people have written them off this year like they did last year, and I think they could surprise a lot of people. They brought in a few players already, the likes of Daryl Hogan from Burnley. He looks quite a good player, and I think they'll improve in their. They're bringing more players alongside that. Surprise QPR player, I've gone for George Thomas. A lot of people I saw on Twitter were surprised when we made that signing. It wasn't really in the news before we bought him or got him. on the free, but he adds versatility along the front three and can play up front in a false nine, I believe. So that would be quite crucial. I think Mark Walton's touched on that quite a lot in his interviews so far about the versatility of players, especially when our squad is so thin at the minute. So I think he could be a starter for us, really. Most underwhelming team, I've gone for Preston. I've put them 12th. They've always been in around the playoffs, and they dropped off quite a lot, since the restart, which I think they were tipped to get into the playoffs at that point. So I think with their squad, they haven't reinvested. They've had a lot of their players for a long time, the likes of Daniel Johnson, Bark Hazen. They haven't really invested too much. I know their budget's quite small, but I just can't see them replicating what they have in recent years. And the most important QPR player, I've gone for Tom Carroll. Again, maybe another surprising pick, but last season we played in the midfield too. We kind of played a combination of the likes of Don Ball, Amos, Cameron, their type of ball-winning midfielders. And I think we've been craving that attacking flair from the middle, really, especially with the fact that we play out from the back. And I think watching him against Plymouth, he showed glimpses of quality, picking out passes from on the half turn, be able to switch the play. I think that's the kind of midfielder we've been looking for. And when we play best, we play quick football and pass possession-based football, really. The games to look out for, the cup finals, like everyone's mentioned, that Troy Deeney famously said, and really any other game that we can attend if COVID allows us to.
Micah sadly couldn't be up with us tonight. He pulled out at the 11th hour because of work commitments, so I think I'll go through his predictions for him. So in the table, he went with Norwich champions. Sadly, I think he went with Brentford second. Didn't want to do it, but like me, he just had to, given that they had so much firepower. Gone for Watford, Derby, Preston, and Middlesbrough in the top 6. Middlesbrough a bit of a surprise call. Yes, Neil Warnock's a brilliant manager at this level. His man managing is absolutely world class. And yeah, I think because of Neil Warnock, he said Middlesbrough are going to come 6th. He's put us for 11th, similar to quite a few other people here tonight. I understand why. We're being slightly optimistic. And yeah, I reckon if we can push on and keep some key players and maybe make a couple of signings, I reckon we can have a decent season. Going down, he's gone with Barnsley, as was mentioned earlier. Their most important player and their captain, Alex Mowat, is apparently on his way to Stoke, which won't help them. Rotherham, the quality of their squad is extremely low, and he thinks they'll struggle. Sheffield Wednesday, overturning a 12-point deduction is near impossible. So, yeah. Anyways, he's gone Timu Puki, top scorer. He's done it before, so he might do it again, unless, of course, we found out he was a season and a month wonder. Wickham, he's gone for Wickham in 17th, which not many people have done. I think I put him 18th or 19th. Yeah, he's gone for 17th. I can understand why. Got really good team spirit, and they've got quite a lot of pace up front and weight as well with Akin Fenwar in the Championship, for God's sake. Surprise package, Conor Mustard celebrating his birthday at the time of recording. Yeah, I think he could be really important this season. Fun fact, only player in the Premier League and the Championship to play more than 500 minutes and not be dribbled past at all last season. I think that's a really interesting stat. So yeah, it's going to be a really good season for him. Underwhelming team, Nottingham Forest. They spent big and falling out of the playoffs literally in the last minute of the last game of the season. It really could have a detrimental impact on them. He thinks that's going to last. Most important QPR player, Ilias Chair. Yeah, he thinks Ilias, again, massive void to fill with the departure of Abira, obviously. And then games to look out for, QPR Cardiff. They'll be out for revenge after the 6-1 Roller King we gave them on New Year's. QPR Reading, which they're extremely strained and Tim Pot fan base, always seems to treat it as a cup final for whatever unknown reason. We just see it as just another game. They see it as a cup final, don't really know why. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be back with more content. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.